John Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on March the 9th in the year of our Lord 2026. And I've got a lot of great information for you tonight. Let's go ahead and click over here to Murtech on Rumble. This is my Rumble channel. This is the video we're going over tonight, episode 1853. Let me jump into this. And hi, Debbie BS. I'm glad you've joined us already. Nice to see you. Okay, let me slide down here and click the Show More button to expand out the description box. Okay, we have information from Dan Bongino, Doug in Exile, McWattersaffect, and Wendy Bell Radio. But before we get into that, man, I have a ton of shout-outs to give. Look at this, folks. All these people that have followed my channel. I told you that if you gave me those chats, that a Rumble would start promoting my channel out, and it certainly has worked. I have over 45 people. I had to make 2 comments. Had 45 people follow my channel today. Okay, got all these, and got some more down here. So thank you, all you folks, for following my channel. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. Okay, we also have Q Mick commented on my daily news wrap-up from last night. Bleedin' Purple and Debbie BS commented on my episode 1852 from last night. Debbie BS commented on my extra 635A and 635B and 635C. So thank you very much, folks, for your comments. I enjoy reading your feedback, and I certainly appreciate your support. So let me give this a thumbs up, and let me give this a thumbs up. I did. And if you would, folks, if you would just scroll down here from the video that you're watching and poke that or click that thumbs up, I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, let's see what Dan Bongino has today. The Terror Threat at Home, episode 2468. All right, well, let's jump into that and see what he's talking about here.
It's the news. Just saw this crack this morning. Another thing for the black pillars who always think nothing's happening until it happens, and then they move on to the next one. FBI secretly seizes election records from Arizona's largest county as the voting probe expands. Grand jury subpoena comes after the Arizona Senate raised concerns dating back to 2020, and the FBI learned of a congressional report from 2024. John Solomon, Just the News. Folks, I strongly encourage you to read the article. Look at how detailed it is. Again, I'm on the outside now. I don't claim any inside information about it on this. I'm just telling you, John has a source over there, is indicating in his piece. He's suggesting that this probe is expanding. Of course, we're going to follow the case. I can just tell you from my time there that public corruption was our first priority. Anyone telling you otherwise is full of shit. Obviously meant to instill upon you the nothing is happening narrative so you don't vote. That's it, period. The PC portfolio was extensive because you have public corruption. You have no faith in institutions. End of story. It was a top priority. It was right on the home screen every single day of everyone's computer. We got in there to have this home screen. It was like National Puppy Day or whatever. Something like, get that out of there. That's gone. We're not doing that. Folks, this is critical. Why is the left-wing media not interested in this story? I'm just curious. If the left-wing media folks are so concerned as they pretended to be in the Bush-Gore election and the Russia collusion hoax about election integrity, left-wingers in the media, you told us this. You were so concerned. Russia hacked the election. Russia stole the election. You bullshitters were so faux concerned about what you considered a stolen election. Donald Trump stole it with the Russians. Him and Putin were smoking cigars and Playboy jackets. And they stole the thing. Then why are you interested in this story? I don't understand. Why don't you just want to look at it? If there's nothing there, that would be good. Can we all agree that would be good? Right? Correct? Nobody wants voter fraud, right? If everything gets looked into and this FBI investigation and the grand jury subpoenas and all of the information portfolio that comes back indicates that fraud maybe was small but not decisive enough to change the result, okay, great. Why wouldn't you want to find that out? However, if this righteous investigation turns up evidence of voter fraud on a bigger scale than the left-wing media now pretends to put a gloss on otherwise, then that's the story of the century, isn't it? Folks, we have to. I got Buck Sexton coming up later as a guest, a great friend of mine. We talk about this election integrity and faith in institutions. Folks, I'm just telling you, we are at a dangerous point in our country where people have faith in no institution at all anymore, and the left-wingers did this. Can't go on like that, folks. The Constitution only matters if there's fidelity to it. We are in a really bad spot. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm going to be part of the freaking solution, man. Because we don't have anything left but anarchy if we can't trust anyone ever. And then what's the point of winning elections? They did this. Now, you're seeing it now, of course, with what's going on in Iran. This has been a tremendously successful military operation, barely a week old by any metric. The decapitation of Death to America leadership and the Mullah class, the destruction of their Navy, the destruction of their ballistic missile capabilities, the destruction of their nuclear pipeline, drone capacity, military facilities, their destruction of infrastructure necessary to fund their war. There is not a single measure. This has not been a military success. It's a week old. Of course, you got the doomers out there and the left-wing media already hoping and praying the Iranians don't give up. You almost see them cheering on the left-wingers and the liberals in the media. You see them constantly cheering on the Iranians out there like, hey, man, don't give up. Eventually, oil prices will go up enough and the Trump will give up. These are our own freaking people. Our own people. You know what, guys? I want to go a little out of order here. Listen, Bill O'Reilly and I had the best relationship, okay? We used to, but whatever. I don't care. I'm trying not to get into like personalities unless we really need to. However, he had a pretty good point. I was going to bring this up later in the show. But here's Bill O'Reilly on one of his segments saying exactly this. Like, this is the craziest freaking thing I've ever seen. Like, are the left-wing media people and the liberals actually cheering on the Death to America crowd that would freaking nuke us tomorrow if they had the opportunity? Check this out.
If you can believe it, there are Americans rooting against their own country in the Iranian military action situation. I am just flabbergasted, word of the day, that you can be an American citizen and hate the president so much that you root for killers to, I don't know about defeat, but to stalemate your own country.
I don't get it either. To the liberal media folks out there and the doomer class trying to manufacture division inside of our own tent, do you understand the threat we're dealing with right now? The threat we're dealing with, you have nation states on one end, like Iran, North Korea, and others, that if they had the opportunity to destroy us and felt like they could even mildly preserve their regime, they would do it. You then have organized terror groups, AQAP, ISIS. You have groups in Maghreb, Sahel. You have a whole bunch of groups over there in the Middle East, in Africa, metastasizing into other countries. You have these cells that, despite our best efforts, have remained persistent, but neutered to an extent, okay? And then you have self-radicalized individual actors, which we saw in the incident this weekend up in New York. Folks, that is a co-equal threat. Now, the only reason I bring this up is because President Trump and his national security team understands that this third threat, again, nation states, terror cells, although sometimes interrelated, and then you have self-radicalized, what it was, the lone wolves. So not really lone wolves, but you get the point. They go and they see propaganda material on the internet, and they go and do something freaking crazy, like this suspect in the case up in New York throwing the TATP explosive at Jake Lang's group up there in New York City, if you missed it this weekend. These self-radicalized actors are getting this agitprop propaganda material that drives them crazy enough to become murderers and terrorists and scumbags. They're getting it from a lot of these nations. Look at this crazy freaking lunatic. Check this out. Look at this. If you guys see this, if you're watching on Apple and Spotify, This is actual video. This is how nuts these people. How the hell did this guy think he was going to get away? Look at this guy. There's like 20 cops around him. By the way, that one cop, man, he moved over that bike rack fast. You see that? Watch that guy. Man, good for him. You know how freaking crazy you have to be? My point in this whole thing is that the White House National Security Team, the DOJ team, and the DOW team and the intel community understand that if you don't cut the head off the seat of this Islamo-fanatic, rebellion against civilization, you're going to be dealing with self-radicalization forever. And the seat of it is the Iranian mullah regime. It's not the only spot, not even close, but it's the seat of it. And you know it's true. That's why President Trump said, listen, regime change isn't the goal here. However, we are going to kill the Death to America crowd because they have caused this problem, that problem, that problem. Regime change isn't the goal. Taking out proxy groups, the ballistic missile capabilities, the Navy, they've already stated the goals. Because there's always going to be some other lunatic to fill in at some point. Then they're going to take them out too. But they're not going to let basically the University of Terrorism still continue to exist to pump out professors all over the world and interns. They're not going to let it happen. Folks, you got to cut off the head. Caroline Leavitt gave a press briefer on, was it Friday or so? And she was talking about how it's incredible how the liberal media is joined with this group of doomers that want to stop this right now. We're only a week in. It's not going to be a forever war. It's not forever. It's a freaking week. President Trump has spoken out vocally against what they call forever wars. He ran against that. He also ran on saying, listen, I'm going to bomb the shit out of these people, his words, if they continue to threaten us with the acquiring nuclear weapons and, quote, death to America. Seems pretty reasonable, no? So Caroline Leavitt was asked a question about the fake MAGA civil war, and I'll ask Buck Sexton about it later, too. Be our guest later. And she makes the point I've been trying to tell you guys. That's why I opened the show with the Just a News article from the Nothing is Happening crowd and all these other bullshitters constantly trying to shred the movement from inside the tent. Folks, I'm not going to tell you X isn't real life Twitter because there are real life people on there. I'm telling you it is not a real approximation of how people in the real world feel. I'm out in the real world all the time. I've yet to have a single person come up to me and talk about the stuff you think is nuclear on X at all. At all. Zero exaggeration in that. It's everywhere, except it's not. Here's Caroline Leavitt on exactly this.
I would just remind people X is not real life. This president lives in the real world. And with respect to MAGA, President Trump is the leader of MAGA. He's the creator of the MAGA movement. And there is nothing more America first than taking out terrorists who have maimed and killed our own servicemen and women, who chant death to America and who pose a threat to the homeland. And so President Trump is a leader of the peace through strength foreign policy doctrine. He attempted peace through diplomacy exhaustively and extensively with the rogue Iranian regime. And so they have been struck with the strength and the sheer might and will of the United States Armed Forces, and President Trump has proven he's a man of his word.
Folks, we have to cut off the head of this snake, or else you're going to have essentially the Harvard, Princeton University of terrorism over with the Iranian mullah regime, again, pumping out professors, interns, and students left and right. You take the head of the snake off, and eventually the body's going to die. I'm sorry, like liberal media folks and others they're trying to co-opt into their movement are missing this grand strategy because it's right in front of your freaking face. The self-radicalization lone wolf problem is huge. You've got to cut off the pipeline of agitation propaganda material. And of course, the media is more than happy to play into this. Did you see this tweet this weekend by NBC? About the incident I just showed you in New York, the guy with the bombs, lighting up the bombs and throwing them at the Jake Lang protest. If you missed it, NBC, multiple arrests made after, quote, suspicious devices found outside Gracie Mansion, home of Mayor Mamdani, during an anti-Islam rally and counter-protest. Well, this is fascinating because this got community noted into the freaking phantom zone, because you read this tweet by NBC, and you're under the impression that somehow that this was not an act of like Islamo-fanaticism. They're like, the bombs were thrown at anti-Muslim protesters, not by the anti-Muslim protesters, as this post and story would lead you to believe. Witnesses say the attackers shouted Allahu Akbar as they threw the bombs at the protesters. Kind of an interesting freaking point to put in there. Are you people or are you not freaking journalists? I think we all know the answer to that.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. And folks, if you're new to watching my podcast, this is basically what I do. I search around and find great clips to share with you from different creators, people that you can trust. No nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. That's what I'm pushing here. Okay, let me click on this Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from Dan Bongino. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump down back over here. And let me close out the chat. I was doing a little chatting here with people. Okay, slide down here and see what Doug in Exile has to say. Bongino, speaking of Bongino, just dropped an absolute nuke. And I like doing this when these videos that I share with you folks are videos that I've posted on Mertech.com. I update the site every day, in fact, multiple times a day, to give you fresh new information. So here again, you don't have to surf the internet. You can just come here and get the news that you're not going to get on the mainstream media. But I like it when I have two different creators, and one of them is promoting information from another. It just, I believe, creates credibility. All right, let's see what Doug has to say here.
Dan Bongino is always good for dropping a truth nuke on people that need to be shaken out of their. It's kind of like Dad when he'd shake you. Maybe your dad didn't shake you. I remember my dad looking me in the face and going, "Straighten up, boy." Usually in my teens. Dan Bongino is trying to shake all of the people who are under this zombie, weirdo, anti-Trump movement, and he really nails them with the truth here. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are. Here's Dan Bongino. No.
Here's President Trump yesterday. And by the way, I love how the doomers, they are such, I saw it was Ben Shapiro addressed this yesterday. I love how the doomers and the panicans, they're just so afraid because they're such cowards and chumps, and you get dressed. So afraid to take on President Trump. They don't have balls because they want to keep their grift going. They dance around the edges again like, oh, he's a puppet. But they'll never say that.
Yeah, they'll say America is controlled by Jews. They won't say Trump is controlled by Jews. America is controlled by Israel. They'll never say Trump is controlled by Israel. When Trump's doing all these statements, they're going like Netanyahu is manipulating Trump, as if Trump is the kind of guy that is so easily manipulated by another country. This guy doesn't do anything anyone tells him to do. Even Israel, the idea, so you have to have a conspiracy mind that Israel is some kind of a evil, hypnotic, space laser force that can even take over the mind of Trump, which is ridiculous. But what he says is interesting to me is he goes, they're cowards because they have to maintain their grift. What is the grift? They have to make money off of you, the MAGA supporter. That's their grift. They can't go after Trump because you would stop watching them because they know that what unites us all is really a loyalty to Trump. So they're trying to undermine everything Trump does in Iran, in whatever, in Epstein files, undermine everything Trump does without calling out his name so they can still make money while criticizing all of his policies and undermining him.
Israel, Netanyahu, Israel. Well, who are they controlling? Somebody. Is it Trump? Oh, no, somebody. Who's the man? They won't say it because they have no balls. So they attack surrogates. Rubio, Hegseth. They do this all the time. I saw it for a year.
Pam Bondi, Bongino, they'll attack all of his surrogates. Witkoff, they'll even attack his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Name the list.
They have no balls. They mean President Trump, but they won't say it because they know they'll get crushed, and they want to keep the grift going. Here's President Trump yesterday telling you directly, there's no war for Israel. It's a war for us, and they've been a pretty damn good partner in it. Check this out.
Israel forced your hand to launch these strikes against Iran. Did that pull the United States into this war?
No, I might have forced their hand.
Did Israel force your hand? No, I might have forced their hand.
You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were going to attack first. I felt strongly about that. And we have great negotiators, great people that do this very successfully and have done it all their lives very successful. And based on the way the negotiation was going, I think they were going to attack first. And I didn't want that to happen. So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand.
Have balls, you coward grifter bums. Just say what you mean. Just say it. Just say what you mean. Grow a pair of testicles, you losers.
They're not going to say it. Why? I'm going to go into it a little more here. Here's Brendan Dilley. I love his stuff. Hey, remember that time that Steve Bannon spent an entire year lying to the audience about the job that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino were doing at the FBI? He was telling them, you know, they're undermined, they're bad, they're whatever. Now, remember, there's two guests on Bannon's show who I love, Julie Kelly and Mike Davis. You guys know I'm loyal to those two. But Bannon, I'm throwing under the bus hardcore, throwing him off the bus. I think what's been revealed about him as a fake leader of the MAGA movement. Remember the time he was lying about Kash Patel and Dan Bongino were doing at the FBI? And then thousands of emails were really showing Steve Bannon being great friends with Jeffrey Epstein and backstabbing Trump. That was awesome. Yeah, Steve Bannon has been behind the scenes. He's one that Dan Bongino's talking about. He won't come out in public and nail Trump. So he'll do it behind his back to Epstein. That's what the emails revealed with Bannon. He was way anti-Trump. So got nothing for you. I'm pro-Trump. Bannon's a Trump. Goodbye. Here's one posted, another banger, truth bomb, posted by Dan Bongino. This is Donald J. Trump. Ex-MAGA influencers lose clout in election primaries, but Trump still a difference maker. This is about Trump in Just the News, John Solomon's Just the News, how 11 of his candidates that he supported in the Texas primary did very well. 11 of the candidates in the primaries did very well that he endorsed. One of them he did not offer his endorsement was Dan Crenshaw. He lost. So Trump is still the magic maker. And the ex-MAGA influencers, he's talking about the people that are going against his policies, trying to run against Trump. That is the Epstein people. Thomas Massey's one of them. Now, this is an ad. This one just cracked me up, actually. I find this very funny. This is Thomas Massey hopes the Epstein files never go away. And I hope his ties to radical Islam never go away either. We're going to reveal Thomas Massey's ties to radical Islam, which explains why he's anti-Israel, anti-Trump, anti-MAGA. Yet another brutal ad from the RJC is playing everywhere in Kentucky District 4 for the primary. We're going to primary Massey with this guy. Now, to the conspiracy-minded people, RJC is the Republican Jewish coalitions. They're going to go low because he's in bed with
America is at war with a fanatical regime that seeks nuclear weapons.
That is true. Again, I'm going to play this ad. You tell me where the lie is. Are they a fanatical regime that seeks nuclear weapons? Fact.
American hero Ed Galrine stands with President Trump.
Okay, Ed Galrine was in our military. Look at him. And he's a conservative. And this is a Trump endorsed this guy against Thomas Massey. So now and I believe this is one of the wars that we have to fight while we're doing Iran. I support our troops. I support Ed Galrine. I'm going to send money. I'll always tell you guys if I send money to a candidate or to a political action committee, frankly, because I want to multiply my donation by having you guys donate to the same cause. For sure, we're supporting Ed Galrine against Thomas Massey.
Galrine stands with President Trump, our country, and our military. Thomas Massey, he stands with Iran and radical leftists in...
Okay, is this a lie? That Massey stands with Iran and the radical left? That's Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. He literally stood with them, and Ro Khanna joined their group.
Congress opposing Trump, just like he did on the border and taxes.
And he would not support the big, beautiful bill.
Now, Kentuckians have a choice. Galrine and Trump or Thomas Massie.
And the Ayatollah. I love how dirty politics, man. They're cutting off the gloves. So Galrine is going to be our guy coming up. Let me keep moving here. This one is Asmongold. People who follow my channel also follow Asmongold. I don't know anything else about him other than that. Why is there's in Iran or innocent people in Iran, but they're from Indonesia in 2021 trying to pass them off as happening in Iran today. How despicable. I'm one of the last to defend her, and now I realize I was a fool. I feel the same way. I defended her too. Here's what I mean by, remember when they accused us of getting paid $7,000 per post for our pro-Israel positions? I get this accusation all the time, guys, that AIPAC and Israel are paying me to be pro-Israel. I get it. You'll see it in the comments. You'll see some people go like 7K. 7K is the code word. 7K, meaning you're getting paid 7K to support Israel. I wish I was getting 7K to support Israel because I'm doing it for free. Israel. I will always tell you if I get paid $7,000 to promote any position, okay? The $7,000 post to be pro-Israel, it's not true. Turns out it was more projection. Remember, the Democrats always accuse the other side of what they're doing? Radical Muslims are literally paying Thomas Massie $7,000 for his anti-Israel positions. Every single accusation is a confession. You can't make this up. And here's the actual names. This is Sam Marouk, Rainim Marouk, Mohammed Marouk, giving to Thomas Massie for Congress. This is in 2025. $7,000, $7,000, $7,000, $7,000. They're lying to you. And now, if you've subscribed to this channel, you watch this channel, my audience has been sitting in the truth for quite a long time. But thanks to Dan Bongino for saying it first and dropping that bomb. They won't go after Trump because they want the money. I'm Doug.
All right. Doug in Exile. There we go. This comes from his YouTube channel. I'm subscribed to his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right. Let's jump back here and see what McWattersaffect has to say regarding this. This is kind of entertaining, actually. Jillian Michaels unloads on Joy Behar in explosive rant. Okay, let's check it out.
You know what's in the air, Whoopi? Trumpism. We lost the election. Wait a minute. We lost the election. We're miserable. Half of this country is miserable. And let's just tell the truth. We hate that he won. We hate it. And everybody's uptight and crazy right now. Well, then I'm...
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. And today we're going to be talking about Joy Behar and how Jillian Michaels went scorched earth on her.
Yeah, you'll enjoy this. Stick with us. We would appreciate if you would subscribe, like, and share this out.
Now, in this video, she's on a show called Friends of Mine. And on this show, she has Dr. Drew and several other people. And all of a sudden, Joy Behar gets mentioned. And just wait for her to her reaction to it.
She doesn't hear herself, how she rails on people. I thought...
No, Joyce used to deal with her back in the Biggest Loser days when she would go after me because she was overweight and unhealthy and just a crotchety old bitchy broad. She's a bitch and she's always been a bitch. Sorry, Doc.
So how do you feel about her? No, tell me how you feel.
Yeah, express yourself. Don't hold it in.
Well, the point is that they just don't seem to hear themselves and the way they rail on people.
That's exactly right. She can't hear herself. She spends all of her time in an echo chamber, surrounded by people who talk and think, most importantly, exactly like she does. It's like confirmation bias for her. Everybody around her is saying the same thing constantly, which makes her think she's right. And she's really not right about most everything I hear her talk about.
Well, it's that blue and on I guess, sky blue crap that we normally see. You know, she's one of these people also purvey the idea that the election was stolen from Kamala Harris, and also, you know, her favorite person, Hillary Clinton, and so on and so forth. This is one of the things that people are just tired of watching, and she has Trump derangements and they're really bad. I mean, every time she has a, you know, you can talk about almost anything, and all of a sudden she brings it to Trump and goes off about Trump. But now we're going to go to this next video where Jillian Michaels is talking about a situation that happened with her and her wife and how they were attacked and threatened, including her son, who is a little boy, being called a Nazi and so on and so forth. Let's go ahead and check out this video.
I wonder, and I said to my business partner the other day, I was like, well, my wife just got like 10 more death threats in her DMs, and someone called my son a little Nazi, and I was dropped by CAA's Speakers Bureau, and like all these things you go through, and I was like, maybe we should have just endorsed Ozempic and sex changes for kids and wide open borders. Like, we should have just left it. I should have been the poster girl for all of it. And none of this would have happened. But honestly, on my deathbed, I would have regretted it all.
Wait,
So
were
you're
you
right.
dropped by CAA Speaker Bureau because of this thing that we're talking about right now, or is
I
that
was
something
dropped
else?
by CAA Speaker Bureau for saying on CNN that you cannot lay all the evils of the world at the foot of just one race.
That was her previous
That was it.
cancellation,
The
Sage. You
very
might have
next
missed that
day.
one.
Yeah, very next day, I was like,
So are you still with CAA for your representation?
No.
Yeah, let me. I did that once too. Let's
yeah.
not.
I left
right,
them
that's
too.
right. Yes.
No. No more.
Wait, that's
Oh my
absolutely hilarious. We've all either voluntarily or not voluntarily left CAA, and we're all doing
Yep.
okay. You know, we all have a roof
Yes.
over our heads.
Lesson learned. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You cannot lay all the evils of society on one race. You know, not only does that seem factually accurate, but it's not coarse or offensive in any way. That just shows you how crazy different networks and people who are producing television, she was in sports, are. Apparently, telling the truth about things is a real problem for some networks.
Well, it wasn't the network that counselor, it was CAA the counselor, which, you know, who cares? Pretty much is how they're all looking at it, because all of them were part of the CAA at one time. That is pretty much a liberal organization. And the fact is, these people are all former liberals that pretty much find that the side they're on is crazy, and now they've come to more of an independent look at things, or even somewhat conservative. So, in my opinion, keep doing that to these people, and we'll keep on taking them. We're fine with that. And most of the people you saw in that video are pretty good people, and they have understanding of what they're talking about, especially when it comes to Trump. They all supported Trump. They all supported RFK Jr. as well. And I think this is something that you're going to see more of as time goes on, especially if Democrats get back into power, because once they do, you know, power corrupts, and they always get more corrupt as time goes on, the more power they have. But guys, this is the end of the video. We hope y'all enjoyed. Please hit that like button, comment, and share this out there.
All right, there you have it, folks. Great information. Let me jump on here, click the Rumble link, and show you that this video does come from McWattersaffect. I am following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here and see what Wendy Bell has to say in the Warrior Ethos. Okay. Now I've moved this up past her monologue. She was talking about that she's retired from. She had like a half-hour weekly spot with Newsmax, and she stopped doing that. She's retired from that because they were just kind of trying to manipulate what she was trying to say. If you want to hear that, the link is right here in the description box. You can go back, but we're going to start after her commercial break and the second segment of the first half hour. So here we go.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. You know, I was listening to the president, Marco Rubio, to Secretary of War Pete Hegseth over the weekend. And you have this very similar, calm, focused, steely resolve, victory champion, warrior ethos mentality. It's totally what it is. The warrior ethos, if you think about it, it literally is a code of conduct. There is a way you go to war. There is a way to fight an enemy, and doing it with class and with high standards. And it seems kind of odd. But we're going to delve into that a little bit more during the course of today's program. This whole idea that to be a professional and successful combatant, you got to emphasize courage and honor and selflessness and an unwavering commitment to the overall goal, which is victory. And the overall goal of this administration is victory, not just for the Americas, but for the entire world. It truly is baffling to hear these people on the left squawk about us going to this Operation Epic Fury and being upset about it. How many more people need to die? How many more people need to be terrorized? How many more people need to live in fear? That's not peace. That's not life. That's not living. No matter where you live. And it's interesting, Harry Enton was at the wall, kind of flapping around. And I wasn't expecting this, but he's talking about a new Fox News poll, one in the last several days. New to me, I hadn't really paid attention to it. And I'm going to read you some of the details here in just a second. But it's very interesting. Because when you ask, depending on how to ask your questions, most people will kind of be split. Do you think we had a reason to go into Iran or not? And it's sort of 50-50. Well, it's based on what you know. But when you ask the military, when you ask military veterans, men and women who've been there, or men and women who dodged it because it didn't happen during their service, but who know people who got hurt or who died. Harry Enton says, look, polling across American veterans and their views of this president and his moves on the Middle East is absolutely 100% supportive. Well, not 100, but big. Listen.
Overall public and those who are either currently or have served in the military. Take a look at this Fox News poll that came out during the past week. Net approval rating of the current U.S. military action against Iran. Look at that. Overall, Fox News shows a dead even split. But look at those who served in the military. Significantly higher support for the U.S. military action currently going on in Iran at plus 20 points. That should not be so much of a surprise because take a look at how they view Trump's foreign policy overall. Again, look at those who served in the U.S. military versus overall. If you look at Trump's foreign policy overall, the net approval rating on that per Fox News, those who served in the military, they like what's going on average. Look at that. The net approval rating plus 8 points for Trump's foreign policy. But look at those overall. Way, way down there at minus 20 points. We're talking about a nearly 30-point gap between those who served in the military and overall. And this split, when it comes to those who served in the military and overall, dates back to Trump's elections, all the way back to 2016. But let's look at the 2024 numbers. Look at this. This was the military, Trump won 31 points. Kamala Harris actually all other voters by 2 points. And that means, Johnny Berman, that means that Donald Trump only won in 2024 because of support from those who served in the military.
So who do you trust more? Democrats, the media, people on Capitol Hill who've never done anything, honestly, to sacrifice or to put themselves in danger for the American people, or those who've been blown up, those who've been shot, those who know people who've died? I'm going to go with the people who are on the front lines, the United States military and the veterans who survived the battles that they put their hand on the Bible to volunteer for. And when the military veterans, people who know, say they support what this president does, that's it. That's game over. That's no more hand wringing. We don't need you to go out, Gallup. Hey, Reuters, Ipsos, ABC, New York Times, Washington Post. Nobody cares about your polls on this. This president working with Israel, now other countries are coming forward, trying to help out a little bit.
Too late there, Keir Starmer. We'll talk about you in a minute. Right? This president and this administration is doing the world a favor. And it's wild because I don't know how he's doing it. I don't know what Trump is doing, how he can manage this coalition of the Americas, this group of 17 countries coming together in the Western Hemisphere to say to the rest of the world, to say to Europe, look, you guys do you, but we're gonna get our ducks in a row over here. We're gonna build this golden dome. We're going to control shipping. We're going to make it peaceful. And if you'd like to cooperate with us, that's fantastic. If you'd like not to, you'll find out. This is exactly what this display is right now. Donald Trump is doing to Iran what he is saying to every other country. If you don't want to do business with the rest of the world, who want the same things we want, they want peace. They want the opportunity to do stuff, to make money, to support their families, to live happily, to buy stuff, to go places, to speak freely, to worship what they want, to not be browbeaten by some tyrannical religious zealot or zealotry that demands conformity. And you have Democrats who are howling that this campaign against Iran and the supreme leader and all of the nonsense and the reign of terror is a bridge too far. Well, you know, I'm not sorry to say I'm going to put my eggs in the veterans' basket. They've seen stuff. They've done stuff. They know. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, the president announces the America's Counter Cartel Coalition. Wait, what's that? Yeah, that's everybody getting together and putting every drug dealer and cartel on blast. We're coming for you. Next.
All righty, there you have it. And that's why I share her information, is because she tells it like it is.
Cast sponsor presidency. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, it's can you imagine Joe Biden doing anything? By this time in Joe Biden's presidency, he was already off 40% of the time. We'd already seen many uncomfortable, shirtless Joe Biden shots of him dragging a beach chair across the beach in Delaware. Right? I don't want to see that. He'd already traveled around and stayed in people's places, whatever. He never, did you ever get the vibe that he was ever in charge? No, of course not, because he wasn't, and everybody knows that. I mean, amazing Jake Tapper figured it out, finally. Oh, yeah, to sell you some books. Well, President Trump is a different kind of president, as you well know, because it's obviously America first. But he understands how America first kind of bleeds off into all the other parts of the planet. And he's like, look, we're going to focus on making our people the best ever, making the best products and drilling the most oil and being the most self-sufficient and having the greatest military and having the greatest scientists and researchers and all of that. But we don't want to exclude you. So if you'd like to get aboard, please join us. And lo and behold, the phone rang. So over the weekend, President Trump announced the America's Counter Cartel Coalition. And this is at the Shield of the Americas Summit. I love how he creates this we're all in it together kind of a thing. Because it can be America first, but it's not America only. It's America first, and you can come along for the ride. And that's what happened. So this was at Doral over the weekend. President Donald Trump announced the establishment of the America's Counter Cartel Coalition alongside heads of state. This is huge. When have you ever seen these people all together? All the heads of state from the Western Hemisphere at the inaugural Shield of the Americas Summit at Trump National in Doral, Florida. Trump unveiled the coalition to counter cartels, and he said this at the very beginning of his remarks as he welcomed the leaders of 17 countries, and he put the world's drug cartels on notice. We will find you and we will kill you, period.
But on this historic day, we come together to announce a brand new military coalition to eradicate the criminal cartels plaguing our region. And you have a lot of it. One of the things when we were talking backstage, you were telling me the crime, the cartels, and we're knocking the hell out of them where we can. We're going to go heavier. You saw what we were doing with the boats coming in. The boats, there's not a lot of people coming in by boats anymore. We knocked down drugs coming in by sea, drugs coming in through water is down 96%. We're trying to find out who the other 4% are, because I think they're the bravest people in the world. Either that or they don't watch television, right? They're either very brave or they're not watching. But we're calling this military partnership the America's Counter Cartel Coalition. And that's what you need. You have cartels. They seem to grow in this region unbelievably rapidly. It has to do with drugs largely. Earlier this week here in Miami, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, who's right here. Pete, you're fantastic, doing a great job. We're proud of you. And representatives of 17 different nations formally entered this new alliance. The heart of our agreement is a commitment to using lethal military force to destroy the sinister cartels and terrorist networks once and for all. We'll get rid of them.
We'll get rid of them. We're going to kill you. We're going to use lethal force. That's it. We're not playing games. This isn't negotiation. We've told you. We've told you repeatedly. We've asked for help. You're not getting the message. Therefore, you will die. Got it? I got it pretty clearly. So who are the attendees of the Shield of the Americas Summit standing around the president as he signs this historic measure? By the way, he signs this measure as the Middle East is falling apart, as that whole Iranian regime is completely tattered, as Zelensky and Putin are trying to figure out their crap, as China is like, oh crap, where are we going to get our oil? You've got the president of the United States with the leaders of 16, 17 other countries standing around him, signing a pact of togetherness. I mean, think about the contrary optics from what else is going on in the world. So who are these people? What countries? Well, you've got Argentina, you've got Bolivia, you have Chile, you have Costa Rica, you have the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, let's see, Guyana, Honduras, Panama. I'm reading all their names and skipping by the names because I cannot even in a million years pronounce that. And the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Okay? So all these people are standing behind the president of the United States who signs this. But he's not done. He's like, we're really happy that we're all together. We all think drugs are the scourge of society, that we're done with it. And that as a Western hemisphere, we're going to create this shield. Literally and proverbially. And no drug dealers, no cartel members are allowed. Right? Then you've got Marco Rubio, who's going to get up and he says, Marco, come on here. We're going to probably send Marco in the next couple days to go deal with Cuba. That's coming up. We'll have to talk about that in a moment. But he says, Marco, have a conversation with all these folks. Now, a lot of these people obviously speak Spanish. And so this is what your Secretary of State said.
These are countries that have been there for us, and these are leaders that are not just allies, they are friends, and they are always willing to work and cooperate with the United States, and we're grateful to you. And as you said, Mr. President, these are also countries with extraordinary potential. Some are fulfilling it, some are well on their way to fulfilling it, and this is important. We want to be a partner with you in that. We want the world to see that when you're a friend and an ally of the United States, it is a good thing. It's reciprocated. It comes back the other way as well. And so the fact the president is here today and making this a priority is so critical. If I may, because some of the cameras cover in Spanish. You all right about that? Oh, good. Please. We don't need an interpreter for this one. Quiero darle las gracias. I think I'm a good interpreter. You'll find out in a second. But las gracias a los países que están aquí hoy. Estos países, primero, el presidente ha hecho esta región una prioridad en su administración. Hay muchos presidentes que han dicho que lo van a hacer, pero él lo ha hecho. Y se lo agradecemos. Y muy agradecido a los 12 países que están aquí hoy. Estos son países que no solamente son aliados, son amigos. Son países que siempre responden cuando hay una necesidad y trabajan en conjunto con nosotros y queda mucho por hacer. Estos son países que tienen una gran población, mucho potencial y queremos ser sus socios en desarrollar sus países, sus economías y su seguridad. Y le doy las gracias de verdad por estar aquí en el día de hoy con nosotros. Que Dios bendiga a todos esos países, a los Estados Unidos y gracias como siempre por la cooperación. Seguiremos trabajando en conjunto y vamos a hacer cosas muy buenas, muy importantes para esta región que van a hacer que en las generaciones futuras nos van a agradecer el labor que estamos haciendo en el momento de hoy. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And you're like, oh my gosh. What did he say? Well, he says, I want to thank the countries that are here today. These countries. First, the president has made this region a priority in his administration. There are countries that always respond when there are needs, and they work together with us. There is much left to do. There are countries that have large populations, much potential. We want to be your partners in developing your countries, your economies, and security. And I truly thank you for being here today with us. Imagine that. When have you heard that? When have all of these other countries that speak Spanish come together with a Secretary of State who's poised to down the road being a phenomenal president, spoken to them in their language? And to which point the president steps forward and says this.
Is he better in Spanish or in English? I think he's better in Spanish. I mean, it's great. Pete, please. Thank you, sir.
And that is, I just wanted to play that with you. You've got all of these things going on. You've got the president receiving phone calls from journalists all around the world. You've got 8 different conflicts around the planet that he's trying to help navigate lasting end to, right? He's trying to get people to stop dying. Then he goes to Dover Air Force Base. He sees the dignified transfer of bodies. And then he's hosting this summit of the Americas, bringing in all of these people who Joe Biden never paid attention to. Barack Obama never paid attention to. Right? One could argue George Bush certainly couldn't speak their language, couldn't come together with a shared message. There's no freaking way. I want you to hear the difference between what the media are desperate for you to believe every single day, every single night. That this is some ill-planned, willy-nilly, off-the-cuff, whatever, Trump's ego kind of a thing. Ladies and gentlemen, the world's dirtbags have just been put on notice. You know, we've played around with you enough. We've given you some latitude. We allowed you to express yourself. We allowed you to make your case. And we told you, no, it's not working. We need you to leave. We need it to stop. And you did not listen. And therefore, we're going to come and we're going to kill you. And we're not apologizing. We're not afraid of you. And we don't care what the media or the left says. Because we were hired to do a job. And the job was to make America great again. And in so doing, that means you are no longer welcome. I've starved for that. Starved for that. I mean, how many of us need to do that in our own homes, right? With our kids. Be like, no, we're not going to negotiate. No, this is not a democracy. This is a dictatorship. And I'm in charge. And you'd better figure that out. Is my career and or of this idea of a hemisphere coming together in a shared focus, in a shared mission, is enemies of America fear the most. They need us fighting and angry and confused and not focused. And they have exactly the opposite. And I don't know how this president has enough time in the day. In fact, when we come back in a subsequent segment, I want you to hear ABC's Jonathan Karl, who says something very candid off the cuff because he's surprised. He picked up the phone and called the president of the United States on a Friday afternoon, and Donald Trump answered. We're going to talk about that. I want you to hear first President Trump on Cuba. He says some things about what's coming next. What next is in his crosshairs? Oh boy. Don't miss it. Coming up on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and move this forward here to our next segment, but I want to also share some information from Rumble Wallet.
They can cancel your accounts, freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control, and they use it. That's why financial independence matters more now than ever.
Introducing Rumble Wallet, a wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether, Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one secure place. No permission, no middleman, no cancel button, and when you want to support the creators you actually believe in, you can use the Rumble Wallet app to directly tip content creators securely, instantly, and without interference.
Designed for patriots who stand tall, this app captures the enduring spirit of liberty. The Liberty Bell stands proud this isn't a credit line they can shut off. It's your wallet permanently. Yours to protect your future. Yours to protect your family. When the system fails, when institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability.
Rumble Wallet isn't about politics. It's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today. Download Rumble Wallet now and step away from the big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom.
All right, here we go. Let's get on with Wendy. More Wendy.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. I'm going to throw Brock a little upside down here. Brock, if you can line up Caroline Leavitt's soundbite for me. I want to hop on this because I got a little long in the first segment. And, for the Americans who are not supportive of this Operation Epic Fury, I thought Caroline Leavitt did a really great job over the weekend. She says, look, we've decimated Iran's navy, and we're not going to stop until this evil regime is obliterated. Any questions? This is literally a minute and 10 seconds, and it's worth its weight in gold.
The Iranians are making a lot of threats with their words, but if you look at their actions with respect to their military, they're not as strong or powerful as they were 9 days ago. That is for sure. We have completely wiped out their navy. Their navy is now deemed combat ineffective. Their retaliatory strikes with ballistic missiles has decreased 90%. And as their attacks are decreasing, the power and prowess of the U.S. military is increasing. And so we are going to continue to completely obliterate the rogue Iranian regime and ensure that they can never possess a nuclear weapon, that their ballistic missiles can no longer threaten U.S. personnel and our assets in the region. And the mere fact that Iran is now pointing their capabilities at their Gulf partners in the region who have tried to remain neutral and at peace with them for many years, they're targeting civilians. It just underscores the point that this operation was necessary, not just to protect the American people and our assets and troops and bases in the region, but also to ensure a truly safe and prosperous Middle East for the rest of the world. And President Trump is the first president in nearly 5 decades to actually have the courage to do this, and he should be commended for it.
Off the cuff, can you imagine Karine Jean-Pierre speaking that glibly? Can you imagine anybody behaving the way Marco Rubio has? I mean, granted, the guy's bilingual. I'm sure he speaks more languages than just 2. But when it's real, when it's authentic, when it's necessary, it's sort of effortless. I want you to hear what the president said about Cuba. He says change is coming to Cuba soon because they rely on a bunch of stuff from Venezuela. They're not getting it. They're not getting the oil, and it's getting critical.
As we achieve a historic transformation in Venezuela, we're also looking forward to the great change that will soon be coming to Cuba. Cuba's at the end of the line. They're very much at the end of the line. They have no money. They have no oil. They have a bad philosophy. They have a bad regime that's been bad for a long time. And they used to get the money from Venezuela. They get the oil from Venezuela. But they don't have any money from Venezuela. They don't have any oil. They don't have anything from... People can't even... They land in Cuba. They can't get gasoline to fly out. They have to leave their planes behind. And they want to negotiate, and they are negotiating with Marco and myself and some others. And I would think a deal would be made very easily with Cuba. But for 50 years, I've been hearing, as a little boy, I'd be hearing about Cuba. Cuba's a disaster, but I've been hearing so much about Cuba. But Cuba is in its last moments of life, as it was. It'll have a great new life, but it's in its last moments of life the way it is. And but our focus right now is on Iran, and we'll do that. I would say, what will you do? Take about 2 days off, Marco? No, he won't. Maybe an hour. He'll take 1 hour off, and then he'll finish up a deal on Cuba. That'll be an easy one.
That'll be an easy one. Meantime, relations between the UK and the United States have been kind of strained, to put it lightly. The latest mess coming about when Prime Minister Keir Starmer refused to let the American military use Britain's air bases during this Operation Epic Fury. Once the battle was well underway and long after it had become clear that America was dominating Iran, Starmer then finally relented to allow our bombers to use key strategic airfields for defensive purposes. That's wow. Saturday, even as the U.S.-Israeli airstrikes continued relentlessly, took time out of his busy day to put Starmer on notice that his lack of loyalty had not gone unnoticed and certainly would not be forgotten. I mean, can you imagine receiving this from the President of the United States? He truthed out, the United Kingdom, once our great ally, maybe the greatest of them all, is finally giving serious thought to sending 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East. Oh. That's okay, Prime Minister Starmer. We don't need them any longer, but we will remember. We don't need people that join wars after we've already won. What? I'd be like, yeah, I'm not so sure that was the greatest play there, Keir. The full text of the post says it all in under 100 words. We don't need people that join wars after we've already won. What did Trump just say about Cuba? Cuba is on its last legs. Cuba is not going to be able to survive this current iteration. It's going to get fixed. We are going to fix it. We're not going to install somebody, but we do have to approve of what you're doing. Because you can't be trusted. Because Venezuela can't be trusted. Because Iran can't be trusted. Because they've proven again and again. And now the UK can't be trusted. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is on deck. Okay, you got to be kidding me. The BBC already facing a $10 billion lawsuit from the president for selectively editing his lip speech. Now mistranslates the Secretary of War, and it wasn't like a minor oopsies either. Next.
Oh, my goodness. All right. That's why I share Wendy Bell, because she has such great stuff. Let me click on the Rumble link here, folks, and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell Radio. I am following her channel. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here. I've been doing some chatting. So let me copy this live chat into a comment so that it will be permanent with this video. Boom. There we go. Clean it up here just a little bit. Get rid of the sponsor. Okay. And make this permanent. It's very important that I feel it's very important that the live chat is part of this program, and I want to maintain that, so I'll copy that into a comment. All right, folks, let me remind you again that these videos that I've shared with you are videos that come directly from the producers. I have the links to the producers here, as well as the links to the producers' channel, if you'd like to visit their channel and see what other information they have. And now, these videos that I share with you here are videos that I've posted here on Mertech.com. And the link to Mertech.com is in the description box. It's a free site. I don't ask for your name. I don't ask for your email address. I don't drop cookies on your computer. It's you're pretty much anonymous when you come here. But, I'd like to share all this information with you. I have over 40 videos that I've posted here, and I update the site, as I said, every day. In fact, multiple times a day. So this information is the kind of information that you're not going to get from the mainstream media. As I said, I'd like to share all of it with you, but unfortunately I don't have the time. So that's why I've put together my Mertech Daily News Wrap-Up. I have a playlist here. It says I have 17 videos in here and probably about 10 hours worth of great information. Right here we're going to take off where we left off with Wendy Bell and go on with Dan Bongino, On the Fringe, Benny Johnson, We the People News, Liberty Sentinel by Alex Newman, Bongino Report, and we know. Great information here, folks. Just give me a few minutes to go ahead and get my Rumble Studio set up for my Daily News Wrap-Up. So go ahead and take a break, grab a cup of coffee and a donut, or a sandwich and a soft drink, or a beer, or a nice glass of wine and some cheese, and meet me back here in about 15 or 20 minutes, and we'll get this going for you. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for being here. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.